In this video, I'm going to show you how to integrate your virtual event landing page with Aweber. We're going to capture your leads, tag and segment them appropriately, and then we're going to configure an email sequence to drastically increase your attendance rate. Hey guys, it's Craig McLean here, and I help small business owners and entrepreneurs grow their business online and show how to be more productive in their personal and professional lives. So if you see value in this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button below. It really makes a big difference. So let's jump into it. So this is our landing page for our event. And we actually built this landing page using WordPress and Elementor in a previous video. And if you haven't had a chance to check it out, I'll put the link in the description below. Now this is for a virtual event, which I am calling a workshop. And this is the hero section up here. We've got a title for our event. We've got a description. We've got a countdown calendar, the date and time of the event, and then we've got a call to action. So when we click Save My Spot, we've got a pop-up here. We're just going to request their first name and email. And now we need this lead to go into our email marketing system. And this video is going to be covering how to do that using Aweber. So what we'll do is we'll head over to our Aweber account. And I'm going to go ahead and log in. So here I am in my Aweber account. We've got a number of things we're going to be doing. We're going to be creating a list. We're going to be creating a custom field. We're going to be creating a form and adding some tags to that form. And then we're going to be creating a reminder email sequence campaign. Now you'll see that I'm actually using the pro version or the paid version of Aweber. You can go ahead and use the absolute free version of Aweber. There will be a couple of things that you may not be able to do, and I'll cover these in this video. So the first thing we'll do is we're going to create a new list. So we'll head over to lists. And I will start by saying we don't actually need to create a list. If you're the type of person who prefers to have one list and then use a tag management system to segment your contacts, you're totally free to do that as well. But I prefer to have a list for anyone who's going to be entering this group because this is an event that I plan to run on a recurring basis. And the next part of that is if you have a free plan, you are limited to one list, so you will need to bring all your leads into this one list. But we'll go ahead and we're going to create a new one. So I'll click on this button here, create a list. And by default, Aweber is going to bring in your default company name and website that they have in your account settings. We can go ahead and we can change this. I'm going to leave this as the URL for my landing page, and the company name is fine as my name. The sender name, again, is going to be pulled in from your account settings. I'm okay with these as well. Feel free to change them if needed. And then we'll choose next step. Now we need to give our list a name, and I'm just going to call this workshop. And a description is needed. And what we'll do is we'll head back to the landing page, and I'll close out this pop-up, and I'm just going to copy this headline right here. And I can use that for my description. And I'll choose next step. And now it's going to ask us to approve our confirmation message. We'll go ahead and approve it as is. So we'll click on this button right here. Now we do need to configure our list a little bit more. So we'll hover over list options and list settings. And you can always see which list you're working on from the top here where it says active list, and the drop down menu you'll see that it does say workshop, and that's the one we're working on. So list name and description, we've already set this in the previous step. Same with the from name and email. Contact address is pulled in from your account settings, and this is an important one. If you want to be notified when you have a new registrant for your event, you're going to want to put your name and email here. The name is optional, but I'll go ahead and add my first name, and I'll click add, and then I will click save all settings. I'll scroll up, and now we'll click on personalize your list. Company name, website URL, we've already set. The email signature, it's not needed, but it could be handy in the event that you have lots of emails in a drip sequence or campaign. I'm just going to go ahead and I'll put my first name here because that's how I want to sign off on these emails. Social media sharing and subscriber pages, we don't need to worry about that right now. Global text snippets, super useful feature, but we don't need that for this video. So we'll choose save all settings. We'll scroll up and we'll click confirmation message. And now you can go ahead and you can adjust this, but we are actually going to bypass that and we are going to turn off these options. So we're going to turn off confirmation for Aweber sign up forms. It's going to ask us if we're sure, and we're going to confirm that. And it's already off by default for imports, so that's fine. And we don't need to worry about API because we're not actually going to be doing any API integration. Now, while double opt-in or opt-in confirmation is a great feature, it cuts back on spam and it ensures your list is a little bit cleaner by ensuring those who want to be on your list are on your list. This is an event registration, so I really want this process as smooth as possible from the point that they view my landing page to the point that they register and get that confirmation email. So I don't want any hurdles along the way, so that's the reason I'm turning it off. Confirmation success page, we can bypass this because it's now irrelevant now that these options are turned off. So we'll choose Save All Settings, and we'll scroll up to the top. We're going to hover over List Options and then Custom Fields. Now we're going to create a custom field. We're going to give it a name of Workshop Date. And I don't want to choose this option here, Subscriber Update. The subscriber shouldn't update this. This is based on the registration form, and that's something we configure. So we're going to click on Add, and then we're going to click on Save Custom Fields. Next step is to create our sign-up form. So we'll head over to Sign-up Forms. And you'll see that we don't have any yet. So we're going to click on Create a Sign-up Form. And Aweber's got a nice template gallery we can choose from to start with. I'm going to go ahead and use the simple template. And then I will click on Load Template. And you'll see that it has now updated our form here to match that template. What I like to do next is actually get rid of any elements in this form that we don't need. So the first one is the header. This is where you could put a headline here. But we've already got a headline on our pop-up form here. So I'm going to leave that there as is. We just want to essentially clone this section here. First name, email, and then the button. So we'll head back. We're going to delete this header section. And then we'll do the same for the footer. And then we'll also get rid of this Powered by Aweber. And I usually like to have some sort of description or text below my forms letting potential leads know that we're not going to spam them and that we are ethical about email privacy. So I'll leave that in place. I also prefer to use placeholders within the input field itself instead of a label like this. So I'm going to click on this, and we'll still use the full name field, but we're going to actually remove this label. And beside options, we're going to click on show, and we're going to type in first name, and I'll add an asterisk just so that my visitor knows that it's a required field. And I want to ensure that required is checked, and I'll choose save field. Then I'll click on email, and I'm going to do the same. And I can actually just cut this, and I can paste it here and add that asterisk. Choose Save Field. And now let's adjust our Submit button. So we're going to click on the button. And first let's change the text. We're going to change it to Confirm My Registration. And we'll click Save Field. And now we can go ahead and adjust that button color. So I want that button color to essentially look like this. And I do have that color code saved already. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to replace this hex value here. And you could go ahead and use the color picker here. But since I know that hex code, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste it here. And I will click on OK. And I think our form looks pretty good here. We could go ahead and we can adjust some styling to the input fields and things like that. But let's move on because this will nicely fit on our page. So for the form automation, we actually want to create two tags here. And it says here, separate tags by commas if we're adding multiple. So the first one we're going to create is workshop-registering. And I'm going to add a comma, and you'll see it's going to adjust the styling of that because it's now created that tag. And the next one's going to be workshop-registrant. And then I'm going to append the date to that. And I like to use this format here. The year, the month of our event, and then the date. There we go. So when someone submits this form, they're going to have these two tags applied to their contact. So let's go ahead and click Save Your Form. Now let's click Settings, and let's give our form our name, and let's call it Workshop Registration. Now by default, Aweber will suggest that you use their basic version for the thank you page, so that's the page that they're directed to after they fill in the form. And if we click on preview, we can see what it looks like. But we actually have a custom page. And in that video where we built this landing page, we did also build a registration success page. And you'll see that right here. So we're going to copy this URL. We'll head back over to Aweber. And from this menu, we will choose custom page. And I'm going to paste in my URL here. And we're going to do that for the already subscribed page. So these are people who are already on your list and perhaps subscribed to a previous event. So we want to send them to the same page. Now we'll choose Save Your Form, and then go to step 3. Now we want to install this form on our landing page, so we're going to choose the first option. And while the JavaScript snippet is great in the event that you make any changes to your form in the future, you don't need to update it on your website. Because we do need to go ahead and add our event date as a hidden field, we do need to choose the raw HTML version. We want to ensure that the beautiful form styles option here is checked, because that's going to keep that theme that we chose and that button color that we styled and all those settings in place. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy this. And let's head over to, and now let's head back to our landing page. And I need to log into the WordPress dashboard so we can make some edits here. So here I am in the WordPress dashboard. If you watch that video where we built this landing page, you'll know that we use the pop-up maker plugin to go ahead and configure our pop-up. So I will click on all pop-ups, and then I will click on edit under virtual workshop registration. And you'll see here we've got the date and time of our event, and we got the form here. And while it doesn't match the layout on the front end, it's because we were using some CSS to style it. It's not a problem, because we're going to actually get rid of this form. So we're going to click on text to view the HTML, and we're going to get rid of form, this entire form code here. And we're going to click on paste, and it's going to paste in that Aweber form code that we copied from here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to scroll up, and we're going to look for this beginning script type text/JavaScript. And we're going to grab everything from the beginning of that all the way down on our page, and we're going to delete it. We want to end off on this closing form. And now we're going to click on Update. And let's go ahead and view our landing page. And now let's click on Save My Spot. There we go. So we could certainly go ahead and we can adjust the styling of this form within Aweber. We could go ahead and make this wider. We could adjust some of the size in between the input fields and the colors and things like that. But really the basis of this video is actually integrating this with Aweber. So while this form is set, we do need to do one more thing here. And we're going to head back over to our pop-up. And we're going to scroll down. And we're going to bypass all of this styling here. And we're going to look for form, where the form starts. And you're going to see style display none. And you're going to see that there's input fields here that are all hidden. So we're going to add a new one into here, and we can do that at the top or bottom, really doesn't matter. And I'm going to give you a snippet that you're going to see in the description below, and I'm going to paste it right here. And you'll see it's a hidden input field, and it says custom field name and then a value. So this is going to be that custom field that we created earlier on. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go back to Aweber. We'll hover over list options and click on custom fields. And I'm going to copy this value here. And it doesn't matter if there's spaces in the field name, it's still going to work no problem. So we'll head back to the pop-up, and we will replace field name with the name of our field. And we do need custom in there. And now we want to apply a value here. And we're going to apply a value of year, month, and the date. And I always like to keep this format to keep it consistent among my tag names and the value names here. So that's what we want to be passed into the form and onto your subscriber when they register for this event. And it's not going to display to the subscriber. It's simply going to be passed as a hidden field. So now we'll click on Update. And we'll go back to our form. And we'll go ahead and we'll refresh this page. We'll click on Save My Spot. So I know we haven't configured our reminder email campaign yet, but I'm still going to go ahead and test this form right now. And that's because we're going to create a segment of our subscribers for this event, and we do need at least one subscriber in our list in order to do that. So I'll go ahead, I'm going to register. And I'll click Confirm My Registration. And you'll see I'm taken to the success page, as I should be. Now let's head back over to Aweber, Subscribers, and click on Subscribers. And you'll see that I have been enrolled here. If you click on my name and we head down to workshop date, you're going to see the date has been passed in, and you're going to see that the tags are also applied, and that's exactly what we want. So I can come up and I can collapse my contact here. And what we're going to do now is we're going to create two segments here. So from this menu, we're going to scroll down and we're going to look for workshop date. And is fine. And we want to input the date that would be in that custom field that we're searching for. So what we're looking for is all subscribers of this workshop list that have this value in the custom field titled workshop date. And we're going to click search. And you're going to see that it's going to pull up this test contact because that's the only one in my list, but it does have that custom field. Now you'll see a new dialog here that says save search as segment. So let's go ahead and save this. We'll give it a title of workshop registrant and then the date. And we're going to click on save. And if we scroll down, you'll see by segment. So if we ever need to search registrants of this particular event, we can simply come to the subscribers page, come down here, and then click on the segment, and it's going to populate the page with all users of this segment. So that's great. If we ever need to come back and see all registrants of this particular event, then we know how to do that. Now, if this was a recurring event and you wanted to see all registrants who have subscribed to all events, no matter what date it is, we'll go ahead and set up a segment for that as well. And instead of using a custom field, we're going to use a tag. So we'll come up to tag, and tag is, and then I'm just going to start typing workshop, and we want to find workshop registrant. And this is going to be the one without the date appended, because anyone who is registered for this series of events gets this tag applied. And I'm going to click on search, and of course this subscriber will show up. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to save this segment as well. And I'll title this Workshop Registrants. And I obviously won't put a date because this would be a global one for anyone, no matter what date they attended. So now let's click on save. We'll scroll down and you'll see that I have two segments created now. The last step is going to cover creating our campaign reminder email sequence. So let's scroll to the top. We're going to hover over messages and click on campaigns. You'll see I have no campaigns, so I will click on create a campaign, and we'll create a blank campaign. And we'll give it a name, and we'll click on create. So when creating a campaign, the first thing you need to do is choose a trigger. So what triggers someone to go into this campaign? And while you may be tempted to use the onSubscribe method, this method adds someone to the campaign when they join your list. And while that's going to be okay for this particular event, because this is the first time we're setting up this list, if you ran this on a recurring basis, such as weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever it is, if someone's on your list and they choose to subscribe to a future event, just to get that information again, they will not be added into this campaign because they are already on your list. So for that reason, I prefer to use the tag applied option. And now it says start the campaign if any of these tags are applied to the subscriber. So I'm going to start searching for workshop, and I want to choose the one with the date in the tag. So now anyone that has the tag with this event date will be added to this campaign. And then the first thing we want to do is we want to send them a confirmation email. So under actions, we will choose send a message and we'll drag it onto our canvas. And then we'll click on create a message, drag and drop email builder. So the first thing we want to do is give it a subject line, and I like to personalize my subject lines by including their name in it. So I will click on personalize, subscribers info, and I will click on first name. Then I'll add a comma, and I'll say you're subscribed for the virtual workshop. Then I like to start off my emails personalized as well. Hi, first name, I'll add a comma, and then I have an email prepared that I will go ahead and I will paste in here. And now we'll add some formatting to it. Bold this. And your workshop URL This will be the URL for whatever meeting service you're using, whether you're using Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, anything like that. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to paste in my demo Zoom URL. I'll add a space below, and then we'll actually copy this because we do want to hyperlink it. So I'll click on this icon, and I'm going to paste the URL, and I'll click on OK. Now, not all services require a password or allow you to use a password, but if you do have one, you can go ahead and paste it right here. I'll go ahead and call mine Workshop. I'll make it bold and italicized, and let's add a little extra space here. Now we can do a signature at the bottom of our email, and while I can just type in my first name here, we did already define a signature in our list settings. And while I've just got a few different emails here that I can just go ahead and simply type in my first name, if in the future I wanted to go ahead and adjust those, I would have to come into every email and adjust them. If you've only got a few emails, not a big deal, but if you had 10, 20 or more emails, that can be a little bit of a pain. So instead, let's just use the signature snippet. So let's get rid of my name here. Let's click on Personalize, Your Snippets, and I will choose Signature. Then I'm just going to add a few line breaks below my signature just so that the email footer text that will be included by default is a little bit lower in the email. And this text looks a little bit small, so why don't we select it all, and why don't we increase the size? We'll make it 14. And that looks pretty good. So now we can click on Preview and Test, and we can click on Mobile Device Preview, and that looks good. Turn that off. I encourage you to send yourself an email to test it out and sure it looks good, but we'll skip that step here. I'm going to click on Save and Exit. So we've now defined an immediate confirmation email that's going to go out to someone who registers for your event. The next step is we want to go ahead and we want to send them 2 different reminder emails, and one is going to be 24 hours prior to the event, and the other will be 1 hour prior to the event. So if we hover over the wait action here and drag it to our canvas, you'll see that Aweber's got a couple options here. So it says set interval. So it's going to allow us to choose an amount of days after the previous email to send the next message. That's not going to quite work since this is based on a specific event date, not an amount of days. Next, it's got set a custom time. And if I click on add a new send window, it's only going to allow me to go ahead and choose which days it should be sent on, not date, and which time within those days. So that's not going to work either. So we're going to get rid of this, and we'll get rid of this wait delay. And so we'll click remove, and we're going to choose save and exit. So that's the unfortunate thing about Aweber's campaign builder is items such as wait delays just aren't really advanced yet. So we do have to use a different section in order to configure those reminder emails. So before we go ahead and move on to those emails, the first thing we will do is we will click here and choose activate campaign so that this is activated and ready to go should someone come and register. What we'll do next, we'll head over to messages and broadcasts. And we will go ahead and use the drag and drop email builder again. And once again, we're going to start off with our subject line. So let's personalize it. Subscribers info, first name. I'll add in a comma, and then we'll say we're 24 hours away from the workshop. And then hi first name, and again I do have an email prepared, so I'll paste that in here. And now let's do some formatting. Workshop URL, again I'll use my Zoom link, and let's hyperlink it. And if I had a password, we can go ahead and we can define that. See you tomorrow, and then again we'll add our signature as a snippet. Let's select all the text again and then increase the size, and that looks good. Let's go ahead and add a few line breaks below my signature. Preview and test, ensure it looks good, and then we'll choose save and exit. So you'll see that it's now being added as a draft here. We're going to want to schedule that, but before we do, we'll go ahead and we'll create a 1 hour reminder email, and then we'll schedule both at the same time. So it's nice with this one, we can actually just copy this email instead of adjusting all that formatting. So let's go ahead and choose copy to drafts, and you'll see right away it created a duplicate of it. So we'll click on this. Now let's adjust our subject line, and we'll say we're on in 1 hour. And then I'll go ahead and paste in some text I have here for my email. Our virtual workshop begins in 1 hour. Here's your access URL. We can now get rid of the date and time since we're telling them it starts in 1 hour. Change our sign off here. Preview and test. And that looks good. So now let's choose save and exit. So that's perfect. We have both of our emails prepared. Now we need to schedule them. So first let's schedule our 24-hour reminder email. Click on schedule. So we don't want to do any social media sharing for this message. We just want to send it to anyone who has registered for this specific event. So it says who should receive this message. We don't want to send it to all registrants or all active subscribers of this workshop. We want to click on edit, and it says send to subscribers in this segment. We're going to click on this menu and we will choose workshop registrants 2021-0304 because we only want to send it to anyone who is registered for this particular event. At the beginning of this video, I was talking about Aweber and their free plan. They do not allow segmenting. So this is something that you will only be able to do in a paid version of Aweber. So you may need to use multiple lists for different events, which really isn't ideal and can become a little bit clunky, but the paid plan will allow us to do this. So we're going to send this email to anyone who is part of this segment who has registered for this date, and we're going to click on apply. And it says when should this message be sent. We don't want to send it immediately. We want to click edit. So we want to send this 24 hours prior to our event. So from the calendar here, I'll head over to March. Our event is on March 4th. We want to send this 24 hours prior. So March 3rd. And we're going to choose the time is going to be 2 p.m., which is exactly 24 hours prior to our event, and just ensure that the time zone correctly reflects that. So it's going to be sent on March 3rd at 2 p.m. So we'll click apply. We don't need to do any tag automations for this. Now message options, it's going to give us the option to track clicks on website links in this message. We can go ahead and leave that checked as well as the quick stats. And now it's going to confirm here, schedule message for Wednesday, March 3rd at 2 p.m. Pacific. And that is correct. So we'll click on this button. And there we go. It is now moved into the scheduled section here. And if we ever need to unschedule it, we can go ahead and click this button. So we need to go ahead and schedule our 1 hour reminder. So we'll head over to messages, drafts. And now we're going to click on the schedule beside our 1 hour event. And again, who should this message be sent to? It's not going to be sent to active subscribers. We'll click edit. From our menu, we want to choose registrants with this date and apply. When should the message be sent? Let's go ahead and schedule it. So our event is March 4th. And the time it needs to be sent is 1 hour prior. So our event is 2 p.m. We want to send this at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And you'll also see our other broadcast is scheduled here on the calendar. So we'll click apply. And we'll leave these settings in place as we did before. And we'll click schedule message for Thursday, March 4th at 1 p.m. Pacific. There we go. We have our reminder email campaign all created. Now, unfortunately, we weren't able to do it all within the actual campaign. We had to use a mixture of a campaign as well as scheduled broadcast emails, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it does get the job done. So the next important step is discussing how to update this for future events if you're running this on a recurring basis. So there's a few things you'll need to do. The first one is we'll head over to sign up forms, and we will simply edit this existing workshop registration form. You'll scroll down, and you're going to remove the tag with the date here because we're not going to need this anymore. And you're going to create a tag with a new date right here. Once that's all done, you'll go through settings, save your form, go to step 3, and you'll go ahead and you're going to install the form exactly how we did before. The next thing you'll do is you'll head back over to the pop-up, you'll paste that form code below here, and then we're going to go ahead and we'll head back down to that hidden field that we inputted ourselves right here. and you're going to manually adjust the date for your future event right here. You'll click on Update, head back to your landing page, and you can go ahead and you'll test it out. Of course, you want to make sure that you update all of your landing page event information as well. We'll head back over to Aweber, Messages, Campaigns. You can then go ahead and copy this campaign, or you could go ahead and you can edit it to reflect the new date. And then you'll head over to Messages, Broadcasts, and you'll do the same for these two that we scheduled right here. So that's going to keep all of your subscribers for this particular event series in one list and tagged appropriately. Now remember, I'm using the paid plan of Aweber here. You can accomplish almost all of this even with the free plan, but the paid plan does make it a lot easier. Now if you're not an existing Aweber user but have been on the fence about giving them a try, I highly recommend you grab their free plan, not free trial, using this link here. If you do decide to move to the pro version later on, I do get a credit when you use this link, but it simply helps me grow this channel and bring more valuable videos for you. So if you're having any issues with your campaign or simply have any questions, just leave a message or a question in the comments below and I'll get back to you shortly. Thanks, and see you guys in the next video.